All right, so my very first step is going to be taping my face, which before we even get to that, we're gonna use some alcohol and some Q-tips to kind of prime our tape so that it adheres the best way possible, and that so when I'm sweating later on, the oils and sweat from my face aren't going to make the tape slip off overnight. So just on kind of the points to exactly where I'm gonna put the tape, I'm just gonna rub the alcohol right on there. And it normally dries like 10 seconds after. And then sometimes if I really want to, I'll go over the eyebrows, but I feel like this isn't really necessary. All the time online, people are asking me what kind of tape is this that I use, and I'm gonna say it right now. This is just clear vinyl tape. You can search anywhere online, on Amazon. I normally get this for like, I think $11. I can put the link below. But clear vinyl tape, I've been using it for years now. It works amazing. It's nice and matte, so you really don't see it underneath your wig or anything. It stays on all night, and it's literally my ride or die. It's always a little bit of a guessing game when I'm trying to figure out how long the tape is. But what I do is I start from here and then I crisscross it so that it's almost behind my ear. You want to get it a little bit onto the skin just so that it has something to adhere to and it doesn't slip off of that wig cap, and you'll see what I mean. So I normally will eyeball it. I like to say maybe like 8.5 inches. It probably depends on everyone's head shape, but I really just try and eyeball it, and then I'll go from there. So we'll cut right here. And then using the side that you just cut, because it's the more cleaner side, like all this is fingerprints, you don't want that on there. You're just gonna go and you're gonna tape from where... Oh my god, I forgot to put on a wig cap. I'm gonna use 2 wig caps for this. So the first one's your base one. This one does not have to be fancy or clean in any particular way. And this one is gonna act as our base for when we're taping our face. I'm gonna go just right in that same area where we put the alcohol, and then I like to hold on to it right here while I really pull this down. The tape is really stretchy, so you can really get some give with it, and then kind of place it right behind the ear. And then if I ever feel it slipping, I will go in with like a very tiny piece just to kind of secure it. So for example, like this side kind of feels a little tight. So what I'm gonna do, just to give it some extra security, I'm gonna go in with a very small amount of tape and just kind of place it on top so that it kind of like anchors it in. And also when you're doing this, you want to kind of go in the direction as to where you want your eyebrows to go. So I kind of want them to go a little straight out. So I'm not putting them so high or so low, just kind of in like the same amount where you know, like you want to get that lifted effect. But to really secure this kind of X that we have on our head now, I'm gonna go in and we're gonna wrap it with that vinyl tape. We're gonna wrap around our head a few times just so that we don't have to worry about this budging. Also really good for when you're pinning in your wigs. I also like to use this little band of tape right here to get the bobby pins in right in there. All right, so now that you look like you've gotten some Botox done, you're gonna go in with that second wig cap. There we go. And see, now you pretty much cannot see those tapes from underneath. Now we're going into brows. So I obviously use my natural eyebrows, and so we're going to use these. Now that we've taped them, they're obviously going to be higher up. We're gonna work with some Got2b and a spoolie and a blow dryer to get them in the shape I want. So you just kind of want to like lightly dust the spoolie and Got2b, and then going back and forth. And then as it's wet, I'm gonna grab my blow dryer and on cool low, just so you have enough time to really maneuver with it. And when I'm combing the brows, I don't go directly up. I kind of want to go more straight out because I'm not trying to make my brows look thicker. I want them to kind of stay the same like length that they are. So I'm only going to go outward so that I'm not getting like a larger, bushier brow. If anything, we're trying to make the appearance that my brows are thinner than they actually are. So I'm gonna go in with like a felt tip brow marker. This is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen in ash brown, and I'm just going to lightly extend the brow and kind of give it a little bit of a tail, just so that we can really start framing the face. And I'm really only bringing this maybe halfway to where the actual eyebrow is. I'm really not gonna try and get over here with any product because the darker it is up here, I feel like the more masculine and the more harsher it looks. So I'm really trying to keep these parts of my brows very soft and very light. Now going in with some concealer and a little kind of like circular brush like this, I'm just gonna lightly go in and start carving out that brow. The brows for now are done. We're gonna start going into the eyes now, which is my favorite part. Some people like to do their eyes after their base, some people like to do them before. For me personally, I like to do my eyes now and then be able to have like my base feel a little bit fresher near the end. So that's normally why I start with my eyes now. I'm just gonna go with the tiny dot on each part of the eye and just blend that out really quick. Now, before we go in with our eyeshadow, I'm gonna introduce you to one of my favorite little things. These are the One Size powder foundations. I swear by these things. They're my favorite thing in the world. What I'm gonna do before we go into the eye, just so we could set this concealer and that it's not gonna disrupt any of our eyeshadow and that really it's a smooth canvas since we can also prevent the creasing. I'm gonna go with like a fluffy brush. This is the Real Techniques 402. And then with a little bit of my One Size powder, I'm just going to dip in here really quickly and then just lightly dust on top of the eyes just so that everything is good to go. All right, for eyes today, it is very circular, very round, very cutesy, very soft. I'm gonna go with my favorite neutrals palette. This is the Juvia's Place, the Warrior 2. It has my favorite warm neutrals. I feel like they're perfect for me and I just love them. So going in with a little kind of a tapered fluffy brush, I'm gonna go with this light like nudie transition shade just so we can get the story going. Really load up my brush, but then I'm gonna start right in the center of my eye and then we're gonna kind of make like a half moon shape. And we're gonna blend this out just enough that it kind of blends in the concealer that we had over here, where pretty much it's like the same shade as my skin. Now going in with a smaller brush, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, a little bit more of a medium warm tone brown. We're gonna keep on enforcing that really half moon shape, but we're gonna go a little bit more into the crease. Instead of going out, we're gonna try and keep it in. And because we want to make our eye larger than it appears, I'm not gonna stop and start right where my actual crease is. So we're gonna make our crease a little bit bigger, but I'm gonna start and really end the crease probably a little bit around here. So now I'm gonna like map out where I want my crease to really lie. I'm gonna use a pencil. This is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in, I think Limitless Brown. Yeah, 608 Limitless Brown. One of my favorites. I like to use this in the eye. I also use it for a lip liner too sometimes. But I'm gonna really shape it out just so that I can buff that out to really define the eye and also gives me a roadmap as to how I wanna cut my crease too. So we're gonna start again right in the center of the eye. All right, I think that is looking to be kind of the shape I want for the eyes. So I'm gonna match that on here too now. And I'm not making this really precise either because I am gonna buff this out with eyeshadow too in a second, but just so we can kind of get the ideal shape going. Okay. Oh, I love that sound. Don't you love that sound? Wait. Oh, I love it. All right, now going in with a brush kind of looks like this, a little very tapered brush. I'm gonna go in with like a very dark brown shade, very similar to the liner that we just used. And then I am just going to go and really diffuse out that pencil that we just put in there. And I'm almost kind of working right on top of it. I'm not really trying to go above or below it. Really, we just want to blend it out so it's not like a straight line. Well, a curved line, but you know what I mean. So now you can kind of see like the difference of like it diffused out and then it just kind of being with the pencil. So let's do that here too. And then with that same concealer, I'm just gonna grab another little brush and we're gonna start mapping out the crease. And with this, I'm really gonna try and follow that line that I just made with the pencil too, and really not try and disrupt it as much as I can. I got it like all on my eyelash, that's annoying. I think that's it. Before we keep going, I'm going to use kind of a short stubby brush like this. And you wanna grab some loose powder, doesn't really matter any kind. This one in particular is the Maybelline Fit Me one. I love this one. And I'm going to pack it with that tiny brush. And then we're gonna set our crease to prevent it from budging, creasing. And you want it to be really, really packed on right there. And then tap out that crease and make sure there's no creasing or anything going on, and really just get in there. Gonna do the same thing. Setting powder, pack it on there. Okay, I feel like that's gonna be as close as I want them to be. And then we're gonna kind of bring the story that we have going on up here and we're gonna bring it over here. So back in with this brush, we're gonna go in with that first transition shade and we're just gonna lightly dust all like in this like 3/4 area. Yeah. And then again, we're gonna do it with the medium tone. And again, I'm not gonna really close off my crease right here. It's more so gonna live like right here. And we're gonna kind of swirl that up a bit, bring it into the eye, bring it up here a little bit. Now, again with that brush, we're gonna go in with that darker brown and really just try to pack it right in here. So we've kind of now like built this gradient from like the light to dark. I'm gonna go in a little bit with this brush right here just to really concentrate it. Alrighty, time for some eyeliner. Now with this, we're not doing a wing, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to act as if we're doing a wing and we're gonna kind of like pause it. I'll show you. So really just going close on the waterline, but we're gonna treat it like we're gonna go a little bit higher. And we're gonna kind of stop where we made like that faux end of the crease. So it's gonna look a little bit like this, like a little tiny stub. Don't worry, because I'm gonna blend it out with eyeshadow too. I'm gonna use this brush we were using earlier with some black eyeshadow. I'm gonna be very careful. I'm gonna like diffuse it a little bit with some brown too, mixing it in there. And then I'm just gonna like lightly dab right on where we're ending that eyeshadow. Kind of just like that. And then I'm gonna bring it right up into the crease just so we can make it really circular. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to an event and I'm happy. Okay, and then one last thing on the eyes I'm gonna do before I move on to my base. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of shimmer. This is actually a highlighter. It's the House Labs, I think, in Peach Quartz. I'm just gonna use a tiny bit on my finger. And then just enough to really soften it up. I gotta go back in and fix the eyeliner, but isn't that so cute? It just does like the perfect amount of like warmth and brightness in the eye. Now, to start off with my base, I kind of like to do a skin prep thing, even though I did skin prep earlier. This is the Shiseido SPF. You can really use any SPF, but I like using this one right before I start doing my base, because it kind of like rehydrates the skin and kind of gives just like an extra little bit of glow. So I'm just gonna go in with a tiny bit on my hands, massage it in. And then normally I'll go right in with my primer. I don't let it like wait or dry down. This is my all-time favorite primer. This is the Milk Mattifying Primer. It's just their regular mattifying primer. Just gonna go in with a little bit of this. And I'm gonna do this everywhere but my nose, and then you'll see what I use on my nose in a second. Oddly enough, my nose is like the one thing that likes to budge a lot and really like to absorb and eat a lot of makeup. So I'm gonna use the One Size Secure, the Sweat Primer, if I can literally get anything out of it. This one has always done me so well with just trying to get the best finish and also just trying to, oh my god, what the hell? There's like absolutely nothing left. That's absurd. This is like literally all I can get. But that's honestly all I need. I'm just gonna go a little bit right on here. I'm gonna do some color correcting now. I really don't have like too much of a 5 o'clock shadow, but just enough so that everything's like on an even playing field. So to set it, I'm going to go in. This is just a brush that has a crap ton of translucent powder already on it. So it's already built up with powder. I don't care if it's gross, but I'm just gonna go in and lightly just dust that. I'm not even gonna add any product on top of it because I don't wanna like put too much of a layer on there. So I'm literally just tapping with this regular powder brush over where I just color corrected so that it's not going to disrupt my foundation. I think today, to really get like a glowy feel, I'm gonna go in with my favorite just to start, my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. I think I'm gonna go a little bit all over just so we can really get that effect. All right, and then today for foundation, I use the House Labs foundation. This is another all-time favorite of mine. I use the shade 70. Just gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand, and then with a beauty blender, I normally like to start where I was applying that color corrector before, just so I can get like the most product right on there. Now I'm going to start bronzing up the face using the Glossier Cloud Paint and just squirting a little bit in the back of my hand. And then I'm going to use a sponge for this one today. Just kind of focusing on like the back half of my face. I want this to feel like very soft and like airbrushed, so I don't want to like create like a super harsh line. Now when it comes to doing my jaw contour, I really like to chisel out this part but really keep this part hollow, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to create a brown stripe on my chin right here and lift it up and then make my face look like shorter. Like, I want like a very like slender, like tall supermodel face, if that makes sense. So I try to like cheat the light and shadows in a few different ways so that I can get that. So I'm just gonna go on here with this. So like kind of like from my ear down, I'm gonna make that line, but then once I'm down over here, I wanna bring it down. I'm not gonna keep it up here and kind of have like that like chin strap look. I'm just gonna start and get a basis of my nose contour too, just lightly tapping. To get a little bit more of a chisel effect, I'm gonna go a tiny bit more with the Soft Sculpt Transing Skin Enhancer from Makeup by Mario, and then a brush like this, just to get a tiny bit more going, but really nothing crazy. There's like a few different blushes mixed on here, but really just focusing like the tiniest bit on the apples of my cheeks. Now, I know some people love to do like their blush all the way up here. I'm not one of them. I like to work with my face, and I think I like putting my blush over here. Really just like the lightest amount. What the hell? There's like a brand new beauty blender. Now for concealers, I like to use a few. I'm gonna start off with this one from Milk, is like a mid-tone one. This is the Future Fluid Concealer in shade 4N. I'm gonna do this one. This is pretty close to my regular skin tone, but I'm kind of just gonna do this to like get a base layer going, and that'll help with like the brightness of our next concealer too. All right, so our first concealer is all blended out. Now I'm going to go in with a brightening concealer. This one is the Anastasia, I think the Magic Touch concealer it's called. Yeah, this is shade number 1, so it's super, super bright, but I'm really just gonna focus this like right in this area. Gonna just do like the high points. Gonna start up by blending just the outer edges. All right, now we're gonna etch out the nose highlight. I know it's everyone's favorite part. I'm gonna grab that same brush we were using earlier to cut our crease with that concealer. And again, I'm really just gonna wanna focus this right in the center of my nose. I normally like to go a little bit higher than where like the tippiest tip of my nose is. And then kind of just like with a point right there, I'm gonna just lightly feather it down. I feel like that's it right there. I'm gonna leave it alone for now. All right, time to powder. First, I'm gonna go in with the powder just on the center of my face. Again, I'm gonna use that Maybelline Fit Me powder with a teensy weensy powder puff. I'm just gonna go in and pack it in. And really just go all over there. And then ding, 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 like right on there. To set the whole face, I'm gonna use some One Size translucent powder. I kind of like to marinate the two powders together, so I'll sometimes like bring the translucent like into this area, just so that everything is kind of all in there. Alright, and now that I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost, I'm gonna go in with my eyes. But I am gonna keep this setting powder on for the time being while I continue working on my eyes, just so that it all really soaks in that powder. We're gonna use a nudie beige taupe kind of color, and that's what's gonna help us open up that eye. So I'm still gonna get that effect of white eyeliner without it looking so harsh. Okay, hi. For some reason, the quality drops right here for a minute or two. I'm not entirely sure why it did that. My camera was being weird, but please forgive me. We finished up the under eye, so now I'm going to dust off all of this. Using a big fluffy brush like this one, I'm gonna go in with some NARS Hoola Bronzer and just lightly. Oh no. Where did like half of it go? It's like shattered. This is the most upsetting day of my life. Okay. Well, there's that. I'm just gonna lightly go in with some bronzer to warm back up the face. Tiny pinch of blush. Yeah, like that's enough. A tiny bit like on the chin. Now I'm going to reinforce the nose contour, and just using my eyeshadow brush from earlier, I'm just gonna focus it right in here. I'm gonna go in with my powder foundation in that little stubby brush that we have right here, and we're just gonna get some more highlight in there. She looks a little Crazy Town USA, and she's like the sitting mayor right now. I'm gonna start and work on the under eye a little bit. So now that we got the inner corner, which is probably like my least favorite part of doing my makeup, is getting like this under eye right here. Okay. We're now gonna connect our top and bottom, not liner, our top and bottom eyeshadow, because we want a lot of the eyeshadows to still like live like right here too. I'm gonna bring it like right in here. And just kind of lightly whisper it down here. All right, that is all on. I'm going to do my forehead now. So I'm gonna go back in with my primer. Again, just a tiny bit. With a tiny flat brush, I'm gonna go and carve out the top of my eyebrows with my foundation, just so that they're all nice and clean. That's as even as it's going to get. And just time to highlight just a little bit. All right, now I'm just going to powder once again with those same powders. Again, I'm gonna use the Maybelline Fit Me as the one for where I just put my highlight, and then we're gonna use the translucent all over. Again, just bronzing, kind of mirroring now everything that we were doing earlier on the bottom half of our base. All right, and we have now approached my favorite part of doing my makeup, which is re-highlighting my face with these powder foundations. So I'm gonna go in with that Real Techniques brush and so I use two. So I'm gonna start with this base one, like my highlight color, and I'm just gonna go in everywhere where I highlighted. And I kind of use it as like a magic eraser to like clean and touch up everything I've done so far. So you can kind of see like the difference like with and without the powder foundation. It's really... So now I'm gonna use my Stage White, which is truly so brightening. And really just focus that like in like the highlight parts of the face. Okay, we are almost done. We're gonna get some lips on and we're gonna finish this out strong. Starting out with MAC Strip Down for the lip liner. Cupid's bow or no Cupid's bow? No, yeah. I'm just gonna lightly like contour the lips using that same pencil we were using earlier on the eyes. Just to give some more definition. Now using this old NYX lipstick that I've had. I love it though. It's like this beautiful, warmy nude shade. I'm just gonna pop that right in the center. Just like that. And then we're gonna pop a little bit of MAC Flesh Pot right in the center. Oh, God, I love it. Now that's stunning. Oh, darling, that's stunning. Okay, we are almost done with the face. We are now going to go into the setting spray routine. And now to melt all of these powders down, I'm gonna use the One Size Powder Melt Setting Spray. We're gonna use a generous amount, but enough to really get the face all saturated. All right, now we're gonna do some highlight. I'm gonna take that same House Labs one and a big fluffy brush like this. Gonna dip it inside of the dry highlight powder. Gonna take my setting spray and then shake, and then just right on the high points right here. Oh my God. You see that too, right? Just stunning. Stunning. And then on here, I'll even do on the bridge of the nose. And then right on the tip. Now it's time for some lashes. That's it. There we go, babes. Okay. Let's lock it all in with some One Size spray, and then we're gonna be good to go. Alright, I'm gonna get some hair and my outfit on, and I'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. If you try out anything, please feel free to tag me in those too. I'd love to see them. And if you have any ideas, any questions, any comments as to what you want to see from me in the future, please feel free to leave those down below too. I would love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to see what you guys would want to see from me next. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stayed till the end, you mean the world to me, so thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah. Bye.